Our last presenter, and the last name that I will butcher for today, is Duma Wenshu. He's a co-founder of Province Brands in Canada. So this is a beverage technology company that has developed a first of its kind patent pending process for brewing fermented beverages from non-starch plant materials. Province Brands earned global notoriety by raising more than 23 million already from venture investors, and now employs some of the top researchers in the industry. Prior to founding Province Brands of Canada, Mr. Wenshu co-founded and ran a Colorado-based cannabinoid research firm which sold to Canopy Growth for more than 400 million Canadian dollars. Congratulations on that. So there are 13 employees of Province Brands. We've talked about the funding round already. I'm just going to turn it over to you, Duma. Welcome.
Thank you. And I am sharing my screen now. I hope you can hear it. This will be a lot of fun today because we are talking about beer. And what a lot of people don't realize is that people have been brewing beer since long before recorded history. These days, the brewing industry is a 900 billion Canadian dollar industry. In fact, 1/3 of all the alcohol sold on the planet is beer. And despite constant improvements in how we brew beer, almost all the world's beer is still brewed from barley. Not hops, by the way. A lot of people think it's hops. That's just for flavor. And technically, you could use other grains. Most people don't. So it remains that for millennia, it has been chemically impossible to brew a beer without starting from some kind of a grain or a starch. And this limitation has caused so many problems for the brewing industry over the years. In fact, there's a whole new problem with this coronavirus that is disrupting global supply chains, and brewers are worried about where are they going to get their grains. Now, this is just one of the many problems that our patent pending brewing technology solves. We are, as she mentioned, a beverage technology company, and we are dedicated to creating a better class of beer. And thanks to the hard work of our incredible research and development team, we have effectively created an entirely new brewing tradition. One which allows brewers to grow directly from the plant to the pint. And to brew beer, for example, from any kind of wood or shrub or grass or whatever's locally available, or even to brew from plant waste. A great example of that is we were recently approached by a global spirits company, and they asked if we can take the leftover parts of the agave plant when they make their tequila and turn that into a beer. It's not just a marketing gimmick. This is actually a way for this company to reduce their carbon emissions and to reduce their waste disposal costs. And why stop with agave? Think about how much plant material all around the world ends up carted off to landfill year after year. Think of the methane that's produced when it ends up in that landfill and breaks down. Think about the carbon dioxide of shipping it to landfill. With our technology, we can avoid all of that. We can also brew from food waste. We can brew from the spent grains, which are left over from traditional brewing and distilling. And we can brew from hemp or marijuana waste from industrial production. And when we do that, we can make products that are alcohol-free and intoxicate using marijuana or its phytocannabinoids. No matter what we brew from, our products have less waste. They're lower cost. We believe at large scale, they're about a 20% savings over traditional brewing. And they're less harmful, not just to the environment, but for your health. Lower calorie, gluten-free, and they'll contain xylooligomers, which are prebiotics. If we make the beverage from hemp or marijuana, it would contain phytocannabinoids like CBD. So how do we do this, right? To understand that, you have to understand how beer has been brewed for many, many years. First, you start by milling your barley. You then mash it and lauter it. And all of this is designed to create a sugar, which goes into your boil kettle. And from there, you can begin your fermentation. What we have done at Province Brands is effectively create an entirely new front end for the brewing process. So you start by chopping up the plant material. And in this video, you can see our team actually chopping up some hemp material that we're working with. Then you go into a cooking step in the process. Here you can see our team using our proprietary cooking process to cook the plant material. And then the next step is a liquefaction, where using these liquefaction reactors, we actually convert the solid plant material, as you can see in the still image, over a period of about 4 days into a liquid. And that liquid, as it happens, is actually a liquid sugar, which can then go into your boil kettle, and you can brew using all the same technology and equipment that you would have in the old-fashioned way. How do we generate revenue? Well, for one, we're launching branded products using this unique technology. First of those is Cambridge Bay. It's the world's first beer brewed from hemp, just 4 ingredients, no grain, no starch, no sugar, 7% alcohol, tastes just amazing. And in the Canadian cannabis industry, we are preparing to launch Daga Imperial, the world's first beer brewed from marijuana, actually brewed from the waste stream created by the cannabis industry here in Canada. And we recognize that we've got some pretty stiff competition here in the Canadian cannabis beverage industry, but we have an advantage over all of these big brands, because when they make marijuana beverages, they have to infuse those beverages with a marijuana oil in order to convey a psychoactive effect. With our technology, we can actually brew from the plant itself, which means that when the customer walks into the dispensary, there's just so much more the bud tender can tell them about our products and our unique brewing process. They can talk about how we're part of the circular economy, how we give a second life to plant material that would otherwise end up in landfill. They can talk about how we're lower carb, gluten-free, no sugar, just 4 ingredients, cannabis, hops, water, and yeast. They can talk about all the benefits of our process. And this is what we in the beverage industry call a reason to speak. And this is especially important in the Canadian cannabis industry, where paid advertising is not allowed, right? So that word of mouth really matters. Another way we can generate revenue, co-packing in our 123,000 square foot brewery, which is still under construction, but when we wrap up the construction, we have several LOIs to co-pack for other clients. And lastly, licensing this technology, not just to companies in the cannabis industry, but there's opportunity to license to companies in the alcohol industry and the functional beverage industry as well. As was mentioned, we've raised over the past 3 years more than $23 million. We are in the middle of a funding round. I'm happy to talk about that as well, but I will stop here and answer questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Duma.
That anyone may have.
Thank you very much. I learned a lot about how to make beer. You just basically boiled it down to a minute, which was very impressive. So David Koenig, we haven't heard from you in a while. Do you have any questions for Duma?
You know what? It was really good. The one thing, and maybe I missed it, is the 5-year projection, the 5-year forecast for the company. If we're looking mainly just international, we're looking to do domestic and international. So I don't know if you went through that part and I missed it. If so, I apologize.
I didn't miss it. You know, when they give you 5 minutes to pitch, you got to leave a few things out. But yeah. I do have it on the screen right now, if you can see. So basically, this is an expensive process. There's a lot of capex. We do sort of. It does take us about 3 years to become profitable, and we have very, very realistic sales targets, as you can see over those first 3 years. I mean, hopefully we'll sell much, much more than that. And then when you talk about domestic, international, we're really focused on the Canadian market, but in year 4 and year 5, we do intend to branch out into the United States for the alcohol product, not the marijuana product, only the alcohol product in the United States, and into Luxembourg, where it's a tiny market, but they do allow marijuana product there. So we'd like to launch the marijuana beverage product in Luxembourg. And then just to show a little bit more on that topic in terms of the margin, which I'm sure is really important. That's down here, sorry. You can see our operating profit margin by different product category, and here our licensing is, just beginning in year 5. We wanted to be very conservative and not count on big global breweries licensing from us in day one, but it is very profitable, high margin activity. Marijuana product is a very high margin activity. Alcohol is a reasonable margin as well.
Great.
we have
Thank you for
time for-
sharing. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. One quick question. Anybody have a quick one? Maybe Matthew or Jay? No?
Well, I'll make a statement because
Okay.
Duma has been in the industry for a long time, and he certainly knows what he's talking about. His pitch just continues to be more refined. Duma, thanks for hanging in there and continuing to build this segment. You've got something special going, man, and I'm a big fan of yours. I know we all are. We've all seen your journey. I know all of us would like to be a part of it. Some of us will, some of us won't. I hope we can, but keep doing what you're doing, man. It's really fun to watch.
Thank you, Matthew. I'm a big fan of yours as well.
Excellent. Great stuff.